Hello and welcome to Autodesk Vault Podcast episode number 2. I'm Brian Shannon. I'm a customer success engineer within the data management group here at Autodesk, and today we'll be talking about Vault Workgroup 2010 Lifecycles and Security. File security and lifecycle management inside of Vault Workgroup allows you to declare a file released and protect it from unauthorized access. Further, we can identify the status of the files in the form of what we call lifecycle states, collect those lifecycle states into lifecycle definitions, and then configure the security based on that particular lifecycle state. So before we get into the demonstration, let's take a look at a definition of terms. First, we'll start with the word security. And simply put, this is controlling the user access at the file level. Vault Workgroup not only has folder level security, but object level security or file level security. That means depending on the particular lifecycle state, we'll have permissions that either allow or deny a read, modify, or delete of a file. A lifecycle state is the tag that defines the stage of work that a file is in. We ship with several out of the box, like work in progress, released, obsolete, and several in between. In addition, we can create our own, we can remove these and rename them for your particular company's needs. Now, a lifecycle definition is a collection of those lifecycle states, their transitions, rules, and behaviors. Like the states, we have several that are built in to the product out of the box. Basic release, flexible release process, a simple release, and a long lead time. These are there as guides to give you an idea of what you can do. And of course, all of these are customizable. In addition, you can make your own, again, to meet your particular company's needs and your existing workflows. And within each one of these lifecycle definitions is the concept of a transition. And a transition captures the configurations, criteria, action, security from one lifecycle state to another lifecycle state and helps to reinforce company standards, for instance, making sure that properties are compliant, making sure the revision is automatically bumped, and so on. So let's take a look at an example of lifecycles and security on files inside of Autodesk Vault Workgroup. So here I am logged into Autodesk Vault Workgroup as the administrator. Notice in the lower right corner. Taking a look at the folders that I have access to, I'll just expand some of these. You can see I've got folders for competitive design, and I've structured this according to assemblies, parts, electrical, and drawings. Now, taking a look at the administrator's vault, we have a series of inventor drawings here, and this is essentially the way that they appear in base Vault today. We have 3 drawings. We see the thumbnail. There's a new properties tab that we'll talk about a little bit later. But let's contrast this with the view from another user. In this case, I'm going to call this shop floor. One of the things that we have heard is many customers want non-CAD access for downstream consumers of data with Vault. Well, Vault Workgroup answers that by just giving you the ability to log in without having to have any qualifying CAD on your system. So we're able to do that. Now the next concept of security we're going to take a look at is, again, remember the folders that we have. Over here in the shop floor vault, as I expand the folder list, notice that the folder selection is slightly less. We have documentation and drawings, documentation and drawings. In other words, for this level of access, I can leverage folder level security within Autodesk Vault. What folder level security allows me to do is see specifically the data I need when I need to see it. And if we click on the preview tab, for instance, we'll see the DWF, and from here I can print it out as the shop floor user or as a downstream consumer and take this information and use it for whatever purposes I need. But is the information always ready? That's the real question. So beyond folder level security, let's talk about a security level that we have that we can prevent this. So in this case, here's a drawing. I have the folded and flat version of this, but there are no dimensions on it. So how would I keep somebody from seeing something like this? Or here's a drawing that we may say, well, this is ready and this is released. Well, if I take a look at this, I may have the ability to check this file out. So taking a look at what you can do with Autodesk Vault Workgroup right out of the box. Let's take a look at that next. As Vault Workgroup has the ability to apply a lifecycle state and therefore a security level, one of the things you can do right away when you get Vault Workgroup is apply a lifecycle state. For instance, this is the drawing that we said was not ready for consumption yet. So a simple right click to change state, and I'm going to choose one of my release processes. We'll talk about this a little bit later. Remember, the flexible release process is a definition. It's a collection of lifecycle states to choose from. But in this case, I want to say that's work in progress. Don't look to this yet. We can enter a comment down here, but by declaring this a work in progress file, and as I come over to my shop floor vault, and I go in and browse, I notice that that drawing is not there. I don't see that particular file. In other words, it's not available for me to browse or accidentally stumble upon. So I can now put this through the paces, so it's in a work in progress state. I may decide that this file is ready to go. It's actually something that's ready for print, so I can change the state of this. I can say that that's released to manufacturing. And in doing so, now that that file's released, let's take a look at the shop floor. I'll refresh and notice that they can see it. You see, behind the scenes, and we'll talk about this coming up, behind the scenes, as an administrator, I've said that this particular user group, the manufacturing and the shop floor, can see data that's released, but cannot see data that is work in progress. So next we're going to take a look at the behind-the-scenes administrative configuration of lifecycle states and permissions applied to them. From the Tools pull-down, we'll go to Administration and the Behaviors tab, and there's an area just for all of our lifecycle definitions. We've been using the flexible release process so far. So if I go in to edit that, I can take a look and see the flexible release process is a collection of various lifecycle states. These are applied to the base category, which is essentially the uncategorized way that my files were sitting inside of Vault. We'll talk about categories a little bit later. But one of the things that you can do right out of the box with Vault Workgroup is apply rules to the base category and have these rules applied to the different lifecycle states. For instance, the work in progress. Clicking on the Security tab, engineering, sales, administration, and manufacturing all have representation in here. These are user groups within the Vault. And taking a look at the work in progress state, I can see that anybody in the manufacturing group, like the shop floor login, was denied the ability to read, modify, and of course delete. But moving to a release state, I see that the manufacturing is able to read the files in that state. They're actually able to see it. And administrators, sales, and engineering all have different levels of permission based off of their group in the lifecycle state, and all of this ties together within a flexible release process. So what we've seen is Autodesk Vault Workgroup gives you the tools right out of the box to apply some entry-level security to files that you already have sitting inside of your Vault. Coming up, we'll take a look at a deeper dive at the transitions from lifecycle state to lifecycle state and the rules built in, including a security level on who can and who can't move files from one state to another. Thanks for watching.